Welcome back, everyone. It is so good to be here again with my amazing co-host, Rosalina.
Our listeners loved the first part of our Day Game Tips series, so this should be good.
They really did, and it was a blast recording it, so, it's a win-win. For those just joining us, welcome to Dating Decoded. We're diving back into our Day Game Top Tip series, and this is part 2.
If you happen to miss part 1, seriously, go back and give it a listen right after this one. We covered some really foundational stuff there, and it sets the stage nicely for what we're about to jump into today.
Absolutely. We went through the first 5 tips last time, and they were eye-opening for a lot of people, I think. And today we've got 5 more powerful tips coming your way, so get ready.
Yeah, so many good insights to share. And before we really get into it, just a quick reminder, please. If you're enjoying what you're hearing, don't forget to like and subscribe to Dating Decoded. It really helps us out.
Yeah, definitely hit that subscribe button. Turn on notifications too so you don't miss part 3, which is also going to be coming your way soon. But for now, Rosalina, are you ready to jump into our next set of day game tips? I'm excited.
Let's do this.
All right, so day game tip number 6, and this one I think is just absolutely crucial. It's about embracing rejection, but not as a failure, but as growth.
Yeah, this is probably one of the hardest ones for a lot of people to wrap their heads around, especially when you're just starting out, Nobody likes to be rejected. It feels bad.
It does. And that's why this reframing is so important. The idea here, and we've talked to some folks who, have written quite a bit about these kinds of social dynamics, is to view rejection not as a personal slight or an endpoint, but as a hardening experience, almost like a soldier in training, right? Or an athlete practicing.
That's a great analogy, actually, because, a soldier doesn't go to battle without training first, and that training is tough. They face simulated challenges, they fail in drills, but it's all designed to make them stronger, more resilient.
Exactly. Or think about like a basketball player. They miss shots all the time, right? Even the best ones, but they don't stop shooting. They learn from the missed shots, they adjust their form, their aim, their release. It's just part of the process,
Right. So if you're in day game and you approach someone and it doesn't go anywhere, instead of thinking, oh, I failed, or she didn't like me, you shift that to, okay, what did I learn from that interaction? Or that was just another rep, making me stronger for the next one.
Yeah, I remember early on, I had this one approach and it was awful. I stammered, I forgot what I was going to say, and she just kind of looked at me blankly and walked away. And for a moment, I was like, oh, man, this is not for me. But then I forced myself to think, okay, what happened? And I realized I was just too in my head. So the next time I focused purely on just getting the words out, even if they weren't perfect. And it was still clunky, but it was better. It was progress.
See, that's exactly it. It's that persistence. Because the truth is, not every interaction is going to be a home run. Most of them won't be, especially at the beginning. But every single one, good or bad, is a data point. It's a chance to refine your approach, your body language, your verbal skills. It's like, I think of it like collecting coins. Each rejection is just like a penny, You collect enough pennies, and eventually you've got $1. It all adds up to building that confidence and skill.
I love that analogy. A penny for your thoughts, a penny for your rejection. That's brilliant. But yeah, it's about managing those emotions in the moment. You get that initial sting, but then you immediately pivot to the what's next or what did I take from that mindset. It's almost like emotional Aikido, using the force of the rejection to propel you forward instead of letting it knock you down.
Yeah, absolutely. And for beginners especially, just getting out there and approaching is a huge win, regardless of the outcome. The win is in the attempt, in pushing past that comfort zone. Every no just brings you closer to a yes. statistically speaking, if nothing else. But more importantly, it builds that internal fortitude.
It really does. I mean, after a while, you start to almost, you appreciate the rejections because you know they're part of your growth. They're telling you something, even if it's just, okay, that person wasn't a match, or I need to work on X, Y, or Z. It takes the personal sting out of it. It becomes less about me and more about the process.
Exactly. It's a mindset shift that, honestly, Frank, it applies to so much more than just day game. It's a life skill. Learning to handle setbacks, big or small, and not letting them derail you, that's priceless. So, yeah, day game tip number 7, embrace rejection. Don't fear it. Use it.
Okay, so moving right along, day game tip number 7, and this one really piggybacks off the last one about persistence. This tip is all about moving to a high volume area.
Oh, yes. This is a game changer, truly. Because, I mean, you can have all the right mindsets in the world, but if you're like trying to practice your day game in a deserted alleyway, you're not going to get a lot of reps in, are you?
Exactly. It's about optimizing your environment for success. The synopsis here is to relocate to areas with many attractive women, like, say, cafes, public squares, bustling shopping districts, to boost your motivation and, crucially, provide ample practice opportunities.
Yeah, ample is the key word there. It's just logical, really. If your goal is to practice approaching and interacting, you need to be where the people are. And not just any people, but, people you actually want to talk to.
Right, and it's not just about raw numbers, though that helps. It's about the type of environment. Like a quiet library, while it has people, might not be the best for, striking up a conversation unless you're whispering.
True. You need places where it's socially acceptable, even encouraged for people to interact. Cafes are fantastic for this, aren't they? People are often waiting in line or sitting alone or just generally open to quick chat.
Absolutely. And the energy of a busy place, I find, is super motivating. You see other people interacting, you see life happening around you, and it just kind of, it takes away some of that internal pressure because you're just part of the flow. It's not like you're doing something completely out of the ordinary.
Yeah, it normalizes it. And the constant influx of new faces means you never run out of opportunities. If one interaction doesn't go well, poof, there's another 10 people walking past in the next 5 minutes. It keeps the momentum going.
It does. It really does. I remember one time I was trying to practice and I went to this really, really quiet park and there's just nobody there. And I was like, okay, this isn't going to work. I felt like almost more exposed because there was no background noise, no other conversations. It was just me and like a squirrel.
A very judgmental squirrel, I'm sure.
Right. So I ended up packing it in and moving to a main street with a bunch of shops and outdoor seating. And immediately the vibe changed. I just felt more at ease, and the opportunities were just like nonstop.
Yeah, that's what I always tell people. Look for places where people are relaxed, where they're not rushing, and where they tend to linger. Cafes, like we said, bookstores, art galleries, even farmers markets on a weekend. These are gold mines.
Oh, farmers markets are brilliant, especially because there's already a natural reason to, comment on something, right? Oh, those tomatoes look amazing, or have you tried this cheese? Instant opener.
See, and that's maximizing interactions too. It's not just about being in a high volume area, it's about being aware of your surroundings and using those natural hooks. Like if someone's looking at a menu in a cafe, that latte looks good. Is it any good? Or if they're looking at a book. Oh, I've heard that's a great read.
Ooh, that's smart. That's really, really smart. It's about finding that common ground, isn't it? That shared experience in that particular moment.
Yeah, exactly. And the high volume means you can try out different approaches too, without feeling like, oh my gosh, that was my one shot for the day. You can experiment. You can refine. If one opening line doesn't land, well, you've got 20 more chances,
That's actually a really good point. It reduces the pressure on each individual interaction because you know there's another one right around the corner. It allows you to be more experimental, I guess, less precious about the outcome.
Totally. It's like having a batting cage versus trying to hit a home run in, like, the World Series every single time you swing. You need those practice swings, and high volume areas are your batting cages.
The batting cage of social interaction. I like that. So when you're looking for these spots, Rosalina, are there any red flags or things to avoid? Like, I guess, places where people are obviously in a hurry?
Yeah, definitely places where people are rushing. Train stations during rush hour, for example, or like the middle of a busy street where everyone's just trying to get somewhere. People are usually too stressed or focused to be open to a casual chat. Also, try to avoid places where people are clearly engaged in deep conversations or like working intensely on their laptops with headphones in. You want those moments of open receptivity.
That makes sense. So observe the flow, observe the body language, and then step in when you see that window.
Exactly. It's about being a social opportunist in the best possible way. Just making yourself available and putting yourself in the position to succeed. It's so fundamental, really, to getting those repetitions in.
It is. It totally is. Because, again, if you're not getting those reps, it's hard to improve. It's hard to build that confidence that we were talking about earlier.
Right. So, day game tip number 7, find your high volume areas. Get out there and be seen. And say hi to that squirrel, Frank, if you're in the park.
I will. I definitely will. Hopefully he's less judgmental now that I've practiced. Ooh, okay. Yeah, this one definitely raises some eyebrows sometimes, doesn't it? But I actually think it's one of the most insightful things you can do.
Yeah, the synopsis here is to record interactions with a smartphone app to analyze and improve verbal skills post-approach. It really focuses on practical application and, crucially, overcoming that initial discomfort you might feel. Yeah, initial discomfort is definitely an understatement for some people. I mean, the idea of like recording yourself talking to someone and then listening back, it's like listening to your own voice on an answering machine, but like 100 times worse because you're also replaying potentially awkward social moments.
It is. It's like, is that how I sound? Oh, my word. But think about it, Rosalina. Any high performer in any field, whether it's athletes, public speakers, musicians, they record themselves. They watch playback. They scrutinize every little detail. Why would social interaction, which is a skill, be any different?
That's a really good point. You know, you don't see a basketball player just like practicing shots and never watching game footage, right? So, yeah, I guess it's the same principle. You need to see where you're missing, where you're maybe overthinking or stumbling.
Exactly. It's about getting objective feedback on your performance because in the moment, your brain is doing so much. You're processing information, you're trying to think of what to say next, you're managing emotions, you're not accurately self-assessing your tone, your pacing, your body language, your verbal tics.
Uh-huh. And I mean, you can do this fairly discreetly with a smartphone, right? You don't have to like put a big mic in someone's face.
Oh, absolutely not. No. Just, a simple voice recorder app, phone in your pocket or just in your hand if you're holding it naturally. It's about capturing the audio primarily. The visual isn't even the most important part here. It's what you're saying, how you're saying it, and what their responses are.
So when you're listening back, what are you typically listening for? Like, are you counting ums and uhs, or are you looking for something bigger?
That's a great question. Initially, yes, it can be helpful to notice those filler words because we all have them. But beyond that, I'm listening for things like, am I asking open-ended questions? Am I listening actively, or am I just waiting for my turn to speak? Did I pick up on any cues they gave me, verbal or otherwise, that I completely missed in the moment?
Oh, that's huge because, sometimes in the heat of the moment, you're so focused on delivering your line, you completely miss like the little invitation they just gave you to go deeper into a topic.
Precisely. Or you might realize, oh, I completely bulldozed over them when they were trying to say something. Or conversely, I was too quiet. I didn't hold my own in that pause. It just brings so much to light that you would never, ever notice otherwise.
I remember one time I was given this advice by someone who, let's just say, has written some very influential books on this topic. And I thought, no way, I am not doing that. That sounds so weird. But then I tried it, and the first time I listened back, I was mortified. I sounded like I was asking for directions to the nearest library, not trying to, build a connection.
The tone was all wrong?
Oh, it was just so flat, so monotone. And I had thought I was charming and engaging, but the recording told a very different story. And honestly, it was the best aha moment I've ever had in terms of improving my conversational skills. From then on, I consciously tried to infuse more warmth, more inflection.
Yeah, I had a similar experience where I realized I was asking too many closed questions. Everything was a yes or no answer, and of course that leads to a very stilted conversation. The recording just slapped me in the face with it. I was like, wow, I'm not giving them any room to expand.
Yeah, it's like shining a spotlight on your own blind spots, isn't it? And, some people might worry, oh, is this ethical? Is this spying? And I think the key here is it's for your personal improvement. You're not broadcasting it. You're not using it for anything nefarious. It's literally just a tool for self-coaching.
Exactly. It's entirely for self-analysis. You're not sharing it. You're not dissecting someone else's performance. It's about you. And to overcome the discomfort, I'd say just start small. Record just a tiny snippet, listen to it once, then put it away, come back to it later, and just build up that tolerance. Eventually, it just becomes another tool in your kit.
Yeah, and I think once you get past that initial cringe, the benefits are just so immense. You learn so much faster. You pinpoint exactly what you need to work on instead of just guessing.
And that accelerates your learning curve significantly. It really does. It's like having a personal coach in your pocket.
Yeah, a very honest coach who doesn't pull any punches.
Laughs. Exactly. So for day game tip number 8, if you're serious about improving, consider recording your interactions. Start small, be kind to yourself, but listen critically. It'll pay dividends.
Okay, that was day game tip number 8, and yes, it's a bit of a curveball for some, but super effective. Now, Frank, what's our 9th tip for our listeners today?
All right, so day game tip number 9 is all about finding your community. And I think this one is really crucial, especially when you're just starting out, or even when you've been doing this for a while.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. This one, to me, is almost non-negotiable for serious progress. The synopsis here is to leverage peer support from online forums or local groups to reduce fear and enhance accountability in learning game. And, it just makes so much sense.
Yeah, it does. Because, when you're trying to improve social skills, especially in a context like day game, it can feel incredibly isolating. You're putting yourself out there. You're facing rejection. And if you don't have anyone to process that with or to get advice from, it's easy to get discouraged.
Absolutely. It's like trying to learn a new language by yourself in a room, right? You can read all the books, but until you start speaking with other people who are also learning or who are fluent, you're not going to progress as quickly. And you're definitely not going to feel, like you belong.
That's such a good analogy. Think about any skill, whether it's learning an instrument or playing a sport or even coding. The people who progress the fastest are almost always the ones who are part of some sort of community. They have mentors, they have peers, they have people they can, bounce ideas off of, get feedback from.
Yeah, and it really hits on 2 major points: reducing fear and enhancing accountability. Let's talk about the fear aspect first because that's usually the biggest hurdle for people.
Yeah, the approach anxiety, it's real. And, knowing that there are other people who feel the same way, who are going through the same struggles, who have overcome those struggles, it's incredibly validating. It normalizes the experience. You realize, oh, it's not just me who feels nervous talking to strangers.
Right. And then when you see others making progress, even small steps, it gives you that little bit of belief like, okay, if they can do it, maybe I can too. And I've seen so many people, myself included, where just having one or two people who you can text after an interaction or, meet up with makes all the difference.
Oh, absolutely. I remember early on, I joined a little local meetup group and we'd go out together. And even just the presence of other people who understood what you were trying to do, it cut the anxiety in half. Like just knowing they were, nearby, going through the same thing. You weren't alone in it.
It's like having emotional spotters at the gym. Like they're not doing the lift for you, but they're there in case you, drop the bar on your chest.
Exactly, 100%. And then there's the accountability piece, which I think is just as vital.
Yeah, because it's so easy to just say you're going to do something and then not do it, especially when it's challenging. But if you're part of a group and you're sharing your goals or you're committing to meet up and practice, you're much more likely to follow through.
For sure. I mean, if you're like, okay, guys, I'm going to do 5 approaches today, and you report back to the group, you're far more likely to actually do those 5 approaches than if you just, tell yourself that in your head. No one wants to be the person who comes back with 0.
It's true. There's a little bit of healthy peer pressure there. And I also think the feedback loop is invaluable. You can describe an interaction and someone else who's been there, done that, can give you immediate, actionable feedback that you just wouldn't get otherwise.
Precisely. You get different perspectives. What might seem like a giant failure to you, someone else might look at it and say, actually, you did X, Y, and Z really well. You just need to tweak A, or, hey, next time try this specific line. That kind of specific feedback is gold.
Yeah, because you're in your own head, right? So you might miss obvious things. And having someone external who's also invested in improving dissect it with you, it's just so powerful. And I know some people might be like, oh, online forums, are they full of, questionable characters? But honestly, there are some incredibly supportive and mature communities out there.
Oh, absolutely. There are places where some of the foundational ideas for day game were really explored and discussed. And many of the authors who've written influential books on these topics, they actually started out in those online communities, learning from each other. I've even had the chance to meet a few of them, and it's fascinating to see how their ideas evolved through that communal learning.
That's so cool. And it really does accelerate skill development. You can learn years worth of experience in months just by being around people who are also actively learning and pushing themselves. You internalize the patterns faster.
Yeah, it's like immersion therapy for social skills. You're surrounded by people who are talking about it, thinking about it, doing it. And that constant exposure, that reinforcement, it just helps you absorb it so much quicker.
Yeah, that's it. It doesn't have to be a huge formal thing. Even just finding 1 or 2 friends who are also interested in improving their social skills and explicitly agreeing to support each other and give honest feedback, that can be your community.
Right. Don't underestimate the power of shared goals and mutual support. It's truly transformative. All right, so Rosalina, we've talked about handling rejection, finding good spots, recording your interactions, and even joining a community. Now, for our 10th and final tip for this episode of Dating Decoded, it's a big one, especially for beginners. Day game tip number 10, be direct with openers.
The direct opener, yes. This one is often debated, but I think for someone just starting out, it's incredibly powerful. The synopsis here says to start with compliments and intent. For example, hi, I thought you were cute. For newbies, to build confidence.
Yeah, and I think that's such a key point for newbies, because when you're first getting into this, you're looking for clarity. You're looking for confidence boosters, and the direct opener provides both in spades.
It really does. I mean, let's face it. When you're new, you're already nervous enough just approaching someone. Trying to come up with some clever indirect line, about the weather or her coffee order can add another layer of unnecessary pressure.
Exactly. And then you're like trying to string together this whole conversation that, eventually leads to you expressing interest, and it can feel very convoluted. Whereas with a direct opener, you just cut right to the chase.
Yeah. Hi, I just saw you and I thought you were really attractive and I wanted to come say hello. Or, excuse me, I know this is a bit random, but I thought you were really cute and I just had to meet you. It's so simple, but it works.
I mean, it's almost disarmingly simple, isn't it? Like, people are so used to indirectness that when someone just genuinely expresses, hey, I saw you, I was attracted, and I came to talk to you, it's like a breath of fresh air, and it immediately establishes your intent. There's no guessing game.
Right. And that's a huge benefit, especially for you, the person doing the approaching, because you immediately filter for genuine interest. If someone responds positively to a direct compliment and expression of intent, you know they're open to that kind of interaction. If they don't, well, then you know pretty quickly too.
Yeah, you get a clear yes or a clear no much faster, which in day game, when you're trying to, make the most of your time and your energy, that quick filtering is invaluable. You don't waste 10 minutes talking about the bus schedule only to find out they're not even remotely interested.
Been there, done that, bought the t-shirt, Frank. It's definitely a time saver, and it's a confidence builder, because even if you get a no, you put yourself out there directly and clearly. There's no, oh, maybe if I had said something different, or maybe they didn't get what I was trying to do. You were clear.
And I think that's the biggest benefit for newbies, because the initial fear of approach, it's so tied to the fear of rejection. But if you practice being direct, you start to realize that rejection isn't personal. It's often just a mismatch of intent or timing, and you get comfortable with that quick, decisive outcome. It's like ripping off a Band-Aid.
Exactly. And it forces you to stand in your desire, which is incredibly attractive. You're saying, this is what I want, and I'm confident enough to express it. That kind of inner conviction translates into your delivery, and people pick up on that.
It makes you more congruent too, right? Like, you're not trying to be someone you're not. You're not playing games. You're just saying, hey, I find you attractive. And that authenticity, I think, resonates a lot more than some pre-rehearsed indirect script.
Now, I know some people might hesitate with this, Frank, because they might feel it's too aggressive or maybe even a little creepy. What do you say to that?
That's a valid concern, and it's all about delivery, isn't it? It's not about like yelling it across the street or being super intense. It's about a calm, confident, friendly delivery. It's the difference between, hey, you're hot, and hi, excuse me, I know this is a bit random, but I thought you were really cute and I just wanted to come say hello. See the difference?
Oh, huge difference. It's all in the tone, the body language, the sincerity. It's not about being sleazy. It's about being upfront and respectful. And actually, many women appreciate the directness because they don't have to try and figure out what you want. It's clear.
Precisely. It respects their time as well. And I think another hesitation people have is, what if they laugh at me? Or what if they think I'm weird? And, to that I'd say, first of all, sometimes people do laugh, but it's usually out of surprise or awkwardness, not malice. And second, you're doing this to build confidence. Every time you push past that internal voice of doubt and just say it, you're strengthening that confidence muscle.
Absolutely. And the more you do it, the less of a big deal it becomes. That initial awkwardness or fear, it just dissipates over time. You start to realize that most people are actually pretty polite, even if they're not interested. And the ones who aren't, well, that's their issue, not yours.
Yeah, you just smile, say no worries, have a great day, and move on. No harm, no foul. And the next one will be even easier because you just push through a small moment of discomfort.
It really is about desensitivation, isn't it? Like you desensitize yourself to the fear of rejection, and you get used to putting your true intentions out there. And for newbies, that's foundational. Once you're comfortable being direct, you can then experiment with more nuanced or indirect approaches later. But this gives you a strong starting point.
For sure. I mean, I still use direct openers all the time. Sometimes it's just the right fit for the moment. And other times I might go for something a bit more contextual, but having that direct arrow in your quiver, especially when you're starting, it's just so powerful for building that initial courage.
So, for anyone listening who's struggling with approaching the ID or just not sure how to start a conversation, seriously consider trying direct openers. It's a game changer for building that foundational confidence.
Start simple, be polite, be confident in your intent, and see what happens. You'll surprise yourself with how well it can work and how much quicker you'll build that resilience.
So, Frank, that brings us to the end of Day Game Tips Part 2 and our 10th tip overall. It's been quite the discussion.
It really has, Rosalina. I mean, we covered a lot of ground today, from viewing rejection, not as a failure, but as a hardening experience.
Yes, like a soldier, right? Building that resilience. And then moving to high volume areas, which is so crucial for maximizing your opportunities.
Absolutely. And then the perhaps slightly controversial but incredibly effective practice of recording your verbal game for self-analysis. That one's a powerful tool, I think.
It really is. And finding your community, which we can't stress enough. The support, the accountability, it's just invaluable.
Yeah, the community aspect is huge. And finally, being direct with your openers, especially for newbies, just, cutting straight to the chase and building that foundational confidence.
Exactly. It's about being clear and confident from the get-go. So those were our 5 tips for Part 2 of Day Game Tips on Dating Decoded. I feel like we've given our listeners a lot to think about and hopefully put into practice.
I certainly hope so. And to our listeners, thank you so much for tuning in again. We really appreciate you spending your time with us here on Dating Decoded.
Yes, thank you. And remember, this is just Part 2 of our Day Game Tips series. We've got more coming for you.
That's right. Keep an eye out for Part 3, where we'll be diving even deeper into more strategies and insights for, navigating the exciting world of day game.
So before we sign off, please, if you enjoyed this episode, go ahead and like this podcast. It really helps us out.
And make sure you hit that subscribe button too, wherever you get your podcasts. Don't miss out on any future episodes of Dating Decoded.
And don't forget to switch on those notifications. That way, you'll be the first to know when Part 3 drops and when any new content from Dating Decoded goes live.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Thanks again, everyone, for listening. Rosalina, it's been a blast as always.
Always a pleasure, Frank. Can't wait for Part 3.
Me too. We'll catch you all next time on Dating Decoded.